Hello my friends, this war may escalate to other countries which are bordering Ukraine, for example Moldova. The president of Ukraine together with the new prime minister of Moldova say that there is the scenario that Russia may launch the air assault on Chisinau, Moldovan airfield. They'll try to capture the city, eliminating the current government, putting their own puppet one. You see this territory colored in red, which is jammed between Ukraine and Moldova. The name of it is Transnistria. And Russia has their own influence on that region, and there is the pro-Russian government. Actually, it is the part of Moldova, but some of the Russian-backed separatists did their best to disassemble it from the Moldovan territory. As it happened in Ukraine in 2014, then the so-called self-proclaimed republics, LPR and DPR, proclaimed independence. The difference here that it was the light scenario of the war, but still it was, and also it happened long time ago after the Soviet Union collapse with Yeltsin as the president. But you see, it doesn't matter whether Putin is the leader of Russia or not. If Russia exists in this imperialistic mindset, they will try to put their own, let's say, religion of the Russian peace elsewhere in the ex-Soviet countries. And let's zoom into the capital of the city and let's speak about the scenario of the possible airfield capturing. Well, the problem for Russia is that the airfield is further away from the city, so this is the city, the central part of it, and the airfield is quite far away. And basically, if you just cut those roads over here, we will not let Russians to go into the city itself. So they may land on that airfield. This airfield is quite nice, has category 2 approach, which means that you can even land during the heavy fog, but they can also switch off the ILS system, creating more troubles for the Russian airplanes. But Russia may also launch their cruise missiles, etc. So for them, this task requires lots and lots of the troops, and for now I don't see that this scenario is truly possible. More than 90% of the Russian army is now in Ukraine, and they cannot handle one more special operation created by themselves. And maybe it's the right time to push away the Russian so-called peacekeepers, but actually soldiers. They cannot change them, exchange, because Moldova blocked all of the movement of the Russian soldiers through their territory, and we know that they cannot go to Ukraine, obviously, and Ukraine moves more forces to the border of Transnistria, yeah. I think that Moldovan army alone would not be able to capture the Transnistria because they still have not enough forces, but with a Ukrainian backup, they may capture this territory. Or it's better to say to return it back to Moldova. Also, Moldova has the close connections with Romania, and Romania may interfere by providing the military equipment to Moldova. So this is one of the most possible scenarios that we should expect, because many of the medias are constantly now speaking about it. Plus, officials today, even the president of the United States, Joe Biden, say that Moldova is on a proper vector to democracy, and basically they are willing to get their country free. And now still there is the Russian influence in Moldova, which they might use again, trying to capture the capital city. We cannot exclude this scenario. However, as for me, this scenario is totally out of logic, very irrational, and if Russia would try to attack Chisinau, we may use also our air defense systems that were given to Ukraine by the Western allies, and we can put them over here. However, there is the big trouble in this part of Ukraine because Russia blown up this bridge, and the only way to get our air defense systems closer to Moldova's border is through this road. Actually, I went across this road, then I left Ukraine, so you go partially touching Moldovan territory. This road is kind of narrow and there are lots of the cars, so you need to have the proper time sending the air defense systems over here. And also, this is the very restricted territory. It's open air, just some of the fields, and those could be the good targets for the Russian aviation. So it's quite risky to provide the protection for Moldova in this region, but we may do so. Also, our air defense systems may be placed somewhere here, which is also not far away from the Chisinau. Plus, Romania also might be used as the territory from which Romanian air forces may protect the Moldovan front. I think that this week will show whether we should expect the escalation in this territory or not. And one more topic that I constantly see nowadays in media, and I'm very concerned about it. Yeah, I told you about it in my last video, but this is very important. China may support Russia with the weaponry. The United States officials start to speak about it, so there's the big risk for Ukraine in that case, but also a great risk for China. And for now, it's quite early to say whether China may support Russia or not. They can, but will they do it? I'm not sure. And according to the Wall Street Journal, the Chinese leader Xi Jinping is going to Moscow very soon to meet this dictator. By the way, dictator got some sort of the show today in Kremlin. He addressed to the Congress of people, including religious leaders, military leaders, etc. And let me put here the fragment of my yesterday's video. And honestly, I do not expect anything new in his speech. He will continue to blame the Western countries, Ukrainian government for his own faults. As you can see, exactly that happened. So he is useless. No serious decisions were taken, like new mobilization of the Russian economy to provide more weaponry to the front lines. No, everything is like before. Even the state of war was not declared. The only maybe important thing that he said that Russia is now out of the nuclear non-proliferation agreement with the United States. The agreement was taken in 2010 to limit the nuclear weaponry for Russia and the United States. So now Russia may produce more weapons, but do they have the resource for it? No. Also, this agreement didn't include China, that announced that they will produce 5 times more nuclear warheads to create around 2,000 warheads. Now they have around 300. Other than that, after listening his speech, I realized that he's just like a brainwashed by his own propaganda. He's saying his main idea is that the gay people who rule Europe and United States, who forgot their Christian roots, they created and rose the Nazis in Ukraine, and now they push those Nazis to control Ukrainian people who are actually Russians to attack the Russian Federation. And Russia is the pure Orthodox Christian country that recognized just 2 genders, and they have to fight. So they haven't started this war, he said. They have to do it to fight for the freedom of Russia and also for the freedom of other people around the world. And their main enemy is the gay Nazis in Europe and United States. And for me, I simply don't know how this nonsense is possible, technically possible in a 21st century when we have internet, and still even in Russia people may have the real information, the facts actually about what is happening, and they still listen to this Russian TV bullshit. Oh my god. So the Russian government, Putin and the parliament mostly consist of the old sick Soviet people. The proper place for them to be in some sort of the clinic, but they're ruling the biggest country in the world with nuclear weapons. They live in their own wonderland, but in real world they're out of option to solve this war problem that this guy created. Unfortunately, this disease also touched the vast majority of the Russians, and they cannot imagine their existence without this propaganda from TV. As for the Putin, the only outcome here which is possible is the kaput of him as the human being, and after that probably we may expect some of the changes in Russia. However, I'm in a big doubt about it, seeing the circle, the surroundings, they still have this Soviet mindset. So I would say Russia nowadays is the Soviet Union, but a little bit smaller and much more stupid. Just right now, then I'm filming this video, there are some of the explosions in Mariupol. 5 times the local chats say that there were some of the explosions. As you remember, the Mariupol is the occupied city by the Russian Federation. About Prigozhin, I published the part of his audio with the subtitles on my Telegram channel. My friends, please check out my Telegram channel. It's in the video description just below, or I put the QR code somewhere over here. You may just scan it on your phone. And today, the Russian Ministry of Defense responded to Prigozhin. They say that they continue to supply the volunteers, they call the Wagner group like that, volunteer army, with the shells, no problems with that. And Prigozhin has the new response to that, saying that you are lying. Not only the Russian ministry cut the shell supplies and ammunitions, they also held the vehicles to arrive to Wagner group and banned the aviation used by Wagner. Now this conflict is fully open to the social media and to everyone. So before I got no, there is no conflict between Wagner and the Russian army. Some of the bots commented under my videos, but really it is. And it is the main thing why they stuck near to Bakhmut, and if they had had lots of the ammunitions as before, they would have been able to get the Bakhmut city 1 week ago, but now they bogged down. So Prigozhin was basically drained down, he cannot do anything, he cannot solve this question, and this question was coming also from Vladimir Putin. I'm sure about it. They have their own corruption profits together with the Russian army officials, and Prigozhin is a little bit out of those schemes. This is the Russian Institute, and instead of learning, they watch the address of Vladimir Putin. Oh my god. No, it's real. Yeah, the quality of the Russian education dropped dramatically. So I think it's the massive Ukrainian attack happening just right now on the Russian occupied territories. We're destroying the Russian ammunition depots, probably controlled centers. And for the new and current updates, please visit my Telegram channel and subscribe for me over there, because there I upload the current information about what is happening, and this is very interesting. This info I got from the Russian Telegram channel, but it's everywhere around. Quite interesting helicopter painted in Ukrainian colors. This is UH-60, or you may call it the Black Hawk, and I think it's been delivered to Ukrainian army. This is the transport helicopter. We got the information today from the Ukrainian officials that Israel is getting ready to supply the Iron Dome anti-rocket systems to Ukraine. So far, Israel hadn't said anything about that stuff, but on the 5th of February, early this month, they say about the possible delivery of those systems to Ukraine. And Israeli delegation went to Kiev yesterday, the same time as Joe Biden visited Kiev, and they discussed this interesting feature. After that, our officials say that the question is solved. My friends, now press the like to this video. Also, if you want to support my job, there are some of the links in the video description just below for you to do so. Thank you so much for your help and support. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.